In the news this week, human rights activists urged the government to rescue and settle the Rohingya refugees.
And Ireland has voted yes to legalise same-sex marriage.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Danielle Staniskov.
Good evening. First this week, close to 100 protesters gathered outside the Perth Immigration Department demanding the Australian government to save the Rohingya refugees. Helene, Fung begins our coverage.
Freedom is on the mind of protesters who demanded that the Australian government takes action on thousands of Rohingya and Bangladeshi refugees. The refugees have been floating off the coast of Indonesia after fleeing prosecution in Myanmar.
We would like Australia to use their Navy and Customs boats for something useful, such as rescuing people, instead of turning them back to certain persecution or drowning, and we demand that we resettle some of these Rohingya people.
They believe that stopping the boats is not the right outcome for these refugees, and that the wider Australian community would agree with them if they knew the full story.
If people understood they were actually genuine refugees, there is a willingness among the community to help them. The problem is that Australian politicians have been lying to people, saying that actually they're not genuine refugees, when in fact, on the government's own statistics, over 90% of people have been found to be refugees.
The protesters are planning more public action on World Refugee Day in June. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Tony Abbott continued his hardline position, saying that he did not want to encourage people to take to the sea in boats, and that he thinks any suggestion that there is some kind of special settlement program here in Australia for people taking to the sea in boats just encourages people smuggling. Helene, Fung, WAMN News.
After the state budget released last week, the opposition revealed the Barnett government's secret plans to cut jobs. It's an accusation that unions took very seriously. This report from Darren McAlane.
Just 1 week after the release of the state budget, reports regarding further cuts within the government have already surfaced.
Very, very concerned about the cuts. We certainly have had our concerns about the job losses to date.
The opposition claimed that $212 million in reductions to education and health had been hidden by the Barnett government. 265 education staff, including teachers, education assistants and Aboriginal education officers, will face the cuts. The union feared the losses won't help WA to cope with a population increase.
What's clear is that the population is still increasing, and yet we're expected to continue to have the same quality service, but with much less people to deliver it.
But Health Minister Kim Hames refused to answer whether frontline services will face the 420 reduction due to the budget cuts.
No cuts have been hidden from the state budget. The state budget details an increase in funding for Health Department, for health, an increase which is overall 1.3%.
Darren McAlane, WAMN News.
To other news now, federal and state MPs criticised the Barnett government's move to cancel the Max Light Rail. They also disapproved the construction of the Royal Highway Stage 8. Meanwhile, Planning Minister John Day defended the government's track record and argued that WA has a first-class public transport system.
Clearly, the answer is let's get beyond the ideology that is anti-public transport. Let's get beyond Mr Abbott's crazy antipathy, rail phobia.
Well, we are investing a lot in public transport at the moment. I think it's something like $3 billion we expect over the next 10 years to be spent. But we do need to do a lot more, there's no question about that.
Liberal MLC Peter Katzenbannis has moved to disallow a new bid introduced by the Fremantle Council to reduce plastic waste. The plastic bag law in Fremantle will prohibit retailers from providing customers with single-use non-biodegradable plastic bags. Acting Mayor Josh Wilson has expressed his disappointment over Mr Katzenbannis' move.
His suggestion has been, I think unhelpfully and certainly inaccurately, that we're thumbing our nose at the Parliament. We're not thumbing our nose at the Parliament. We're asking the Parliament to give proper consideration to our local law and to endorse it, and we've done that through an entirely legitimate process, and in fact the Parliamentary Committee has said it should be passed.
Ireland has taken a historic step to legalise same-sex marriage, joining 18 other countries around the world that have already done so. A poll was held across the nation on Friday, making it the first country in the world to host a referendum on equal marriage. The passing of the referendum will create constitutional guarantee giving gay couples the right to marry each other. All political parties, major employers and celebrities together supported the reform, hoping to end the discrimination.
The United States Department of State has publicly released 296 emails from former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. These emails were written and received during September 2012, when some US facilities were attacked during the civil war in Libya. Ms. Clinton was accused by members of public for using her personal account and proxy to send and receive emails. Recently, she submitted approximately 30,000 emails to the State Department after she joined the race to represent the Democrats in the upcoming presidential election in the United States.
And those are the top stories of the week. You can follow the latest news on our website.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.
Good night.